Welcome to a very special episode of Coffey Talk. 1 year ago this week, I launched this little podcast, and there is absolutely no way I could celebrate 1 year without bringing in the person who has been behind the scenes since before there was ever a Coffey Talk. My husband, my biggest supporter, and the man who wrote the Coffey Talk theme song. Sterling, welcome to Coffey Talk.
Thank you. So excited to be here. I feel like I've been a part of every episode in some way, so it's fun to actually be on one.
Yeah, you certainly have. You've listened to every episode. You have heard me edit every episode. You probably heard me in my frustration over editing all the episodes. So I'm so glad that we get to celebrate 1 year of Coffey Talk with a chat about it, about where it came from and what the last year has been like, because you have certainly sacrificed weekends and time for me to chase this passion project of Coffey Talk. I remember when I first told you I wanted to start a podcast, what did you actually think was going to happen?
I actually thought it was like a totally organic extension, a totally organic next step of everything you were doing. So I didn't think it was crazy at all. I thought this makes total sense. This is, think of the things that drive you, storytelling and community building and connecting with people. And I thought this is just kind of a really natural extension of all of those things. So I thought it made total sense. My only question was, the time commitment. Is it something that she's going to have time to do? But obviously you've found a way to do that. So yeah, it struck me as a really reasonable, logical, smart next move. What did you think it was going to become when you came up with that idea?
I had several different iterations of what I wanted to do with Coffey Talk. I am obviously a big reader. I love to read. And at first I thought Coffey Talk was going to be like book talks, basically sitting down with people that I knew that had recommended books to me, and that we were going to just basically do, book reports together. And so that was kind of the first, I guess, iteration of Coffey Talk in my mind. But the more time that I spent in community and talking to people, and not just my current community, but throughout my career, a common thread that I've always seen is that people have always felt safe with me, which I never take for granted. And they open up to me and they tell me their stories. And so I've said many times, I kind of become a container for these stories, and I carry them around with me. And they do help me in navigating, in making decisions. I hear, is that Maggie behind you?
Yep.
Oh, I love it.
Wants to join the show.
She always wants to join the show. So I think I just landed on Coffey Talk needed to be real stories of real people. And it comes from actually talking with people and spending time with people. And not every episode has been my current work community. It's been people that I brought in from my past, or even my, in some of the spaces that you and I share. David was on Coffey Talk and talked about perseverance and some of the things that he'd been on. For those that are listening, David is our personal trainer. So Coffey Talk, it just kind of came about, like you said, organically. And I didn't really have any expectation of what it would become. I just felt a strong desire to launch it and to go. And I echo your concern of how in the world was I going to have time for this, because I'm a very busy human being. But I believe if it's important, you find time, you make time. So we're at a year. I've been doing this crazy thing for a year.
So a year in, how different do you think it is from what you just described at the start?
I think, how different is it? I think it's the heart is the same. I think that the people sharing their stories and what they've learned, that is the same. I would say the biggest change has come in me, in being more comfortable in this role of interviewing people and not just listening, not just sitting and listening, but also asking questions to go a little bit deeper. That's definitely a muscle that I had to exercise, and got lots of feedback from people that were listening, from the community. I had one person that told me in October, we want more of you. We want more of your story. And so that was a little bit of a struggle for me. It can be difficult for me to open up and trust people with my story. But if I'm asking other people for that, I have to be willing to do the same thing. So I did make that change. I kind of, gone back and forth with that. I think it's just knowing who I'm talking to, knowing if that specific interview needs my story or if it is the right time to share. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's my job just to hold space for someone when they're sharing. So I don't know that it changed. I think I changed in the way that I show up to every interview.
Yeah, I remember the first time, probably the first time anyway, that you went significantly over the 20-minute mark, because originally it's like 20 minutes
20-minute
tops and
episodes.
that's it.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
which was kind of a guideline for a good reason. The challenge though, with that kind of limit was that sometimes conversations need to breathe. And I remember when you got that feedback from people saying they want more of you, and I felt the same way. Uh,
Good.
just to make it more of to hear more of that two-way conversation. But I remember that first episode that was significantly more than 20 minutes, and thinking it felt more alive. It just felt more like two people having a conversation, that you weren't forced to make changes or edits for the sake of time. You could just let the conversation happen. So, and I know that's got to be a tough balance, right? Because I listen to podcasts that are 2.5 hours long and I never get past the 30 or 45-minute mark,
Mm.
but so I know that's a tough balance that you try to reach, but I felt like that was a healthy turning point in your first year
Yeah.
when you started to expand like that.
I thought it was too, when I kind of did my research before I jumped into Coffee Talk, the 20-minute episode came from it takes the average person 20 minutes to drink a cup of coffee. So my idea for Coffee Talk was, every Monday morning when you're getting ready for your week, to listen to an episode for maybe a new perspective on something that you're going through, or, whatever that perspective for the episode may be. Every episode's been different. But you're right. I found that putting that boundary on it of 20 minutes wasn't fair to the story. And I can't expect us to get to the place in a story that's like the big crescendo moment under my timeline. And some of the episodes are long. Some of them are an hour or more. Some of them are, 30 minutes. But I think if someone is listening and it's too much, then they can either, speed it up and listen to it faster, or listen to it when they can, when they're commuting. Or who commutes anymore? You commute, sweetheart, but
I
not
commute.
everybody commutes anymore, right?
I commute, and that's actually where I do most of my podcast listening, is on my commute. So I remember originally the concept was not how long it would take to drink a cup of coffee, but how long does it take your husband to finish a glass of bourbon? But, it was like 2.5 minutes was way too short for an episode.
2.5 minutes was way too short. We had to go with the cup of coffee, right?
Yeah.
Funny.
It's probably a good call.
Yeah. So we've been together for 6.5 years. And I know during that time, you've watched me come up with 14 million different ideas. And then I get that look and say, I've got an idea. What goes through your head when I say that? Are you like, uh-oh, what's going to
Duck.
happen?
No. Most of the time what goes through my head is, let her run.
Mm.
It's one of the things that I love about you. It's just kind of that always looking forward, the determination, the will to grow, the will to learn and succeed, ambition, just all of those things about moving forward in a positive way, and then having ideas around that of how to achieve it. And a lot of the times you bring those ideas to life. Nobody can bring them all to life, right? But that's the nature of the beast. And so most of the time when you have an idea, Mags is wanting to inject herself.
She
I know
always does.
she's off
Maggie has
camera,
the
but
last word. We're going to talk about the Coffee Talk theme song.
hello, Mags.
But if you hang out and listen to the very end of the Coffee Talk theme song, you'll hear Maggie. She always has to have the last word.
Yeah, I know she's off camera, but she's clawing at me here.
I'm sure.
But yeah, I mean, typically, you're what's the what's the expression I'm looking for? Your batting average with your ideas is really, really high. So you step up to the plate, come up with an idea, and more often than not, you're going to get a hit. So sorry for the sports analogy, but so typically I just think, okay, let her run with it. And sometimes I like to kind of ideate with you and help you grow it if I can. And other times I'm like, that's absolutely not my territory. So I will stand back and let you run with it. But either way, I love it. It's you're creative and you're driven, you're fueled by ideas. And I think that's it's fun to watch.
Well, thank you. I said this on an upcoming episode, but I'm going to say this on this episode as well. Kate Pinion, who I adore in the community, she put on her LinkedIn a really fun AI prompt, and it says basically like, have your AI write a warning label for you, for anyone that's coming into contact with you. And my warning label for my AI was, don't give her an idea if you don't expect her to run with it, and realize by end of day, the next day, you're going to have a full marketing strategy, go to market strategy, logo, full style guide. Like your business is going to be ready to go. And that is me. That is why I do have an idea. And if I believe firmly in it, from Coffee Talk to She Builds and her voice and all the things that I'm doing with women in tech, if it has my passion behind it, it has fire behind it. And
So then,
yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, didn't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
go ahead.
you said a second ago, you have, I think, 14 million ideas that you come up with over time. Why this one? Why? I mean, because I can certainly think of others, some of which have come to fruition and some which haven't yet, and maybe they will. But why this one?
I think because you and I talk about this so much, I believe that, we live in a time in a society where we're pitted against each other. And I believe as humans, we have a whole lot more in common than we think we do. And it was important for me to host these stories, to get these stories out there. Some of the feedback that I've gotten from other people that, it is a lot of people that I share community with, but I've had people come up to me and they're like, I had no idea that this person has been through this as well. Me too. And it gave me a new perspective on her or him or, whoever that guest was. And I think it shows that we have so much in common. And I remember there was an episode with Shirley Grimes she's a foster mom. She's got her own children, but then she is a hero in the world of fostering. And it was during Dynamics Con, I guess, someone approached me and were like, I have a friend that's wanting to foster, and now I know who to point them to. And it's little connections like that is why. That is why this one had legs. That is why this one launched. And again, I didn't have any expectations for it. I've watched my downloads. I've watched the people that are listening. I thought I would have like 5 people listening every week. It is unbelievable how many people I have listening every week. I'm really proud of it. And I'm really proud that these stories are getting out and that people can start, again, finding that we have so much in common. We're really not that different. We may have different views on, different topics, but at the heart of us, at the core of us, we're very much the same.
Yeah. Well, I think it's, that you said earlier when we were talking that, and I forget how you phrased it, but that people are willing to share their stories with you. And that, that's something that I think you have to earn. You have to, and you can earn it very quickly. Sometimes it's a vibe. Sometimes it's just a feeling people get with each other. And maybe it's a privilege, but that people are willing to share with you on a meaningful level. Because for a lot, that's not something that everybody's willing to do easily and quickly. And it, and I think your platform has certainly been the fact that you are, at least speaking in terms of the channel.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned earlier, you have had guests that are outside the channel, and you do tell stories that are outside the channel, but a lot of it has been kind of centered around the channel. But the fact that you're out and about and in front of these people so often and face to face and looking them in the eye and have really, I think, shown them that you're this real, that you're genuine, you're trustworthy, you're a voice and also a set of ears that can listen. It's that helped give you such a platform, I think, to launch Coffee Talk.
Yeah.
I don't think that you launched necessarily with the intention of like, this is going to be channel focused.
No,
Right,
I
and you can
didn't.
tell me if I'm wrong, but it wasn't
No.
like it was never supposed to be, and it isn't. It hasn't been any kind of extension of your actual job.
Mhm.
It's like it is outside of that. It is separate from that. It kind of runs tangentially to that. And I think it's just, but I think it did give you such a platform to stand on to help launch this. But without that, I think that's something that you can be proud of. The fact that people are willing to share stories on a meaningful level
Yeah.
and allow themselves to be vulnerable. And you're right. You said this earlier. I think part of getting people to do that is that two-way conversation of I'm asking you to share something that maybe puts you in a vulnerable spot, but I can give that back to you as well.
Yeah. I think that
Something really
dialogue
honest.
I think that dialogue is important. And, I've had people that have told me things that they were not comfortable saying out loud before to in their work world. I've had people that have come to me with an acquisition and they used Coffee Talk announce the acquisition, which was very cool. It was like, breaking news here first, and then they announced it the day after the episode came out. We know lots of people in channel, out of channel that are losing their jobs. It's a really hard time for a lot of people. And another acquaintance of mine texted me and said, "I want to get on Coffee Talk and I want to talk about the mentorship that I do and the way that I've helped people through these times, and I think this is a message that needs to get out, and I want to get it out quickly and broadly because this is happening, lots of layoffs." So I think that I kind of gave Coffee Talk out to the world, and I let people certainly use it in the way that they need to and want to. I've had people that have come on that have talked about very vulnerable seasons of their life that were very public, and they finally wanted to address it and put some closure to it and some, wrap it up with a bow and say, this was part of my purpose and figuring out who I am. So Coffee Talk has been used for so many different things, and I'm really proud. A year later, it's been a year, and I'm really proud. It's definitely worth the sacrifice. It's worth the time spent. I hope you agree with me on that because it is time taken away from, my weekends. I usually spend Sundays editing or, if I'm being a super procrastinator, I get up at 4 a.m. and edit it on a Monday morning. But I appreciate the sacrifice that you've made in letting me run with this because it is a sacrifice for you too in giving up our family time, our time together for me to chase this. So I want to say thank you for that and for supporting me. You're my biggest supporter always.
Well, I'm your biggest fan. It's easy to support you. It's fun to support you. I don't think of it, you mentioned sacrifice. It's not really a big sacrifice. There are the Sunday, whether it's Sunday evenings or early mornings or late nights or whatever, where there have been nights where you sit in bed editing when we're going to sleep, but there's a reason behind it all. There's this positive forward moving thing behind it all. And it's not, the first few episodes, the editing was a much bigger lift when it was new to you.
Yeah.
Now you get through that stuff pretty fast. So, this one is going to be a bear because I know you're going to have an AI generated replacement of my face of something that's going to look much better. And I know you're going to have to write entirely new dialogue that'll be AI generated to replace all the dumb shit that I say. So this one will be tough, but most of the time you can edit them pretty quickly. So it's
I
not,
don't think that I don't think I'm going to edit this one at all. I'm just going to let this one go. All my stammers and stutters, I'm going to show up completely authentically me in this one. I do want to talk about the theme song because it is very special to me, and I don't do anything without there being a meaning behind it. I don't do anything without there being intention behind it. So I want to tell the story of the theme song. So the theme song is original. You wrote it. We had been chatting. We met on the internet, which is unbelievable that still like boggles my mind. I got so lucky. But so this was at the beginning of COVID. I know you remember this was at the beginning of COVID and everything was shutting down. We couldn't find anywhere to meet because we would go, oh, let's go to a brewery. And then that day it would close. And there wasn't anywhere. So we started sending each other like videos of what we do in our life, like cooking and whatever we were doing in your workshop. And one night you said you were noodling around and you sent me this little ditty that you wrote on your guitar and you were just sitting and like the rascal that you are, your face was not in it. So we hadn't even met at this point. And you just played this song and it really stuck with me and I loved it. And it's an open tab. That song I hear in my head so many times, even now during the day. So when I launched Coffee Talk, I took the video. Do you remember me sending you, or do you remember me bringing that up that day? And I was like, do you remember this video that you sent me?
Yeah. And the funny thing was, and it sounds like I feel like such a dork. Like, yeah, I sent this girl a video of me playing guitar. It's like, you dumbass. Like it just, but it was a weird time and COVID, it was COVID and we were sending each other videos of cooking,
Yeah.
of like
We were just
weird
trying
things.
to get to know each other.
Like it was just like, yeah, it was a strange time because none of us could really leave the house or we felt like we couldn't. And we'd been talking a lot about music because it's a passion for both of us. And so it just sort of, I'd probably had a couple of drinks when I
Natty
recorded
Lights.
it. But the funny thing was, so I would often just grab a guitar and mess around and come up with something and then probably forget about it an hour later. And this was one of those things. I remember it was in an alternate, like in an open tuning, and I was just messing around and I came up with this thing and I played it and I sent it to you. And then I forgot all about it. And so then fast forward and you said that you wanted to use that as a theme song and I had no idea what I played, how it went. So you had to find the original video from, 6.5 years ago and send it to me. And then I had to learn it. I had to learn it all over again because I didn't remember what it was or what I'd played. But yeah. And then,
you had to learn it and expand it because it wasn't as long as it is. It's the show opener and the show closer. And you got out all of your recording equipment and you added different parts to it. So it isn't just you playing your guitar. You added a keyboard to it. You added drums to it. Like you added the full, you made it a full song, a full theme song for me.
Yeah. I probably went overboard, but I wanted it at least to sound like a produced piece of music somewhat, but yeah. And then if for those who have listened to the very end of the show, they hear Maggie in the background, the bark. And that was your idea, as I recall. But it was appropriate because of our, we have 3 dogs and all of them at different times. But Maggie, maybe more than most, tends to insert herself into anything we do. So, and it reminded me of the, do you remember the way that David Letterman show used to end? It would end, I think it was Letterman. At the very end, after the credits, this little graphic would come on screen and they say, "Sit, Ubu, sit." And then you'd hear this dog bark.
Good dog.
Say, good dog, Ubu. Yeah. It reminded me of that a little bit, but yeah, that was an appropriate little piece of our home flavor with one of the dogs inserting themselves into everything we do.
It's so perfect and it's so us. And I can't tell you how many episodes of Coffee Talk I've recorded where I'm like, I'm so sorry. Hold on just a second. I have to shush my dogs. So it's all the time.
But what was it? Because over the years, you've heard me play lots of different things and many more that I've come up with and then forgotten an hour later, probably. But what was it about that one that resonated, that stuck with you, or that felt like Coffee Talk to you when it came time to do the podcast?
It just feels so grounding, and that song feels so much like home to me that I didn't want anything else to be the Coffee Talk theme. I think I had asked you to write me a theme for Coffee Talk, a theme song, but I I was kind of working through what I wanted it to be. And then I was like, I know exactly what it is. It has to be this. And the story behind it fits so well. It's perfect. It's just perfect. I hope I answered your question. That was a good question that I hadn't really thought about.
It was either that or Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne, I think was your
One of
other
the two,
candidate. Yeah. Yeah.
because Crazy Train is very on brand for me as well. So never know. You never know it's going to come out of my mouth. How have you seen me change? Have you noticed any change or felt any change in me over the last year?
I don't know that I would say it's necessarily specific to Coffee Talk. I think I've seen a narrowing of focus so this is I'm going to contradict myself. Like simultaneously expanding ideas and visions and want to do millions and millions of things. But at the same time, when you hone in on the next thing, a real narrowing of focus to get it done. I think you've always been driven, but I think I've seen an increased drive just to accomplish things, to achieve things. Coffee Talk has grown and continues to do what it's doing and will continue to grow. She Builds has been a huge thing for you this year. And just another example of something where I think I've seen you have this idea, this vision, and then the focus becomes very, very sharp. Sort of mind expanding in the sense that I see possibilities all over the place, but as far as the drive to get it done, you get sort of laser focused and I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah.
So, and I think maybe too, just one of the things I think I've seen change or develop or kind of grow that maybe is more specifically related to Coffee Talk is just that ability to drill down on the story, to get into this, how do I ask the right questions to take this story somewhere or to help somebody take the story somewhere, lead them to it. That's been something I think, I ask you, like, I should ask you, when you think back to your first episode and then everyone since then, I mean, have you felt the change in your ability to help someone craft that story and help somebody tell it and be a part of them telling it?
I think I'm very comfortable in the interview now. Certainly for the first 6 months or so, I won't say that I don't get nervous. I get very nervous because I want to do a good job, because it matters to me, because I want to host this story in a way that honors the person that's giving it to me and lets them get out the big takeaway that they want, that they want to get out. The very first episode was me talking about She Builds Something New, and I talked about the launch of Coffee Talk and gave a little bit of my background, and I should go back and listen to it. I haven't listened to it since I hit publish. I edit the episodes, and rarely do I go back and listen to them. I, of course, am very critical of myself, and if as I'm listening, as I'm editing, I will think, Kate, why didn't you ask her that? Or why didn't you ask him that? Or why didn't you dig down into that? Because that could have been a whole episode. That could have been a side quest. But I have to let that go and learn from that. And really, I think I'm better with active listening than I was a year ago. I think I trust myself more to deliver the story, and I trust myself more to host the story than I did a year ago. I think that's the biggest change, and I'm not so concerned. I don't have any expectations for it. I just let it become what it's going to become, and always grateful for someone that gives me their time. I mean, we're all so busy, and someone sets aside, 30 or 45 minutes or an hour to spend with me. Like, what a gift. What a gift.
You're touching on something though, like helping your guest prep is part of it, I think. And there is a lot that goes into every episode that people don't see, right? I mean, there's, there's the booking and the scheduling, but then there is coming up with that run of show. It's putting something in front of your guests before they come on so that they can read through and have some idea of kind of where this is going to go, and help them prepare. Then you actually record it. And then you get into the whole editing process after, which was that. I mean, I've got to think, when you first started, did you ever feel like, was there a moment where you felt like you were going to quit? Or was there a moment where you felt like this is too much, or this is too hard, too time consuming, whatever? And how often did you think that while you were editing?
Yeah. A lot of times when I'm editing, I'm like, man, this is so hard because it is very time consuming. And I'm not saying that to be complaining in any way. It's worth the time spent, but it is time consuming to identify the guest and I now have a website. Do you remember when I was up until like 4 a.m. on the website? That one night I decided, I'm like, I need a website. And I wrote the website in, about 12 hours. I was up and running with a website. That's how I do. But I put the questionnaire on the website and I'm able to send. So I've cleaned up that admin process a lot. I feel like it's a lot more streamlined than it was. But yeah, I have to get the questionnaire back and read it and find a show in the story, right? Like that's my job there is to find the show and where we want to take it and then write a run of show and try and give it some legs, right? And then there's the editing and all the clips that I pull out of it. There's my newsletter that I write every week. There's a blog that I write from the episode. There's all the captions for it is time consuming. But I found if I don't do those things, then people don't know that a new episode is out and the downloads are lower. And I have to do all of those things. There have definitely been some times over the last year we've been through some things at home that were hard, not necessarily with us, just with our family, our extended family. And there were times when I thought Coffee Talk's gonna have to take a back burner. And it has a couple of times. I know I haven't released an episode every week. You actually suggested that I start doing like espresso shots essentially on those weeks where maybe I'm traveling. We all know I travel a ton, or I'm traveling, or it's work. The workload is a lot. My workload is a lot. But just to keep up that consistency of maybe just 10 minutes of me talking about leadership or ideas of leadership that I've learned from 3 of my guests, or, and then I can backlink those episodes in those show notes. So finding a way to be consistent when life doesn't always let me be consistent. But also I won't say I wanted to quit. I would just say I needed to take a step back because there were some other things that were a little bit louder than a weekly episode of Coffee Talk. But I don't want to quit. I want to keep going. I love it. I love the opportunity to help these guests tell their stories and give them a place to express themselves and to tell a story that maybe they haven't before. That feels like I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful that people trust me so much.
Your 14 million ideas that you mentioned. What's next? What's the next one that's gonna make me look at you and tell you that you're crazy?
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on Community Summit, and I don't know how to do anything a little bit, so our booth is outrageous. We have the Future Proof Saloon, and it is going to be an Old West saloon. So, sweetheart, I'm going to need your help with that. I need your help building a bar.
Can I be the Val Kilmer, Doc Holliday character who just sits
I'm
at
your
the table drinking and playing cards?
Right.
Just give me a bottle of bourbon and some cards, and
Yeah. You just be over there in the corner.
I'll be rude to everyone that comes by the booth.
Yeah.
That'll be part of its charm. So building a bar, huh?
Yeah. So we need your help building a bar for the Future Proof Saloon. By the way, I also need you to help me set it up. You heard it here first. So I guess we're going to Nashville.
I'm union labor, so I hope you're ready for union rates.
How about if I just pay you in a smile? No. Yeah, that's next. We're rounding the corner to Community Summit, and that was, this is our first year sponsoring Summit, and I didn't want to just have a traditional booth. I wanted to have something memorable. So we are turning our 10 by 10 booth space into a full saloon and talking about future proofing your payments. Yeah.
Better get started building that bar soon.
Yeah, I know, right? It's in about 6 weeks from now. So I was happy to see that you left all of your recording gear up when you recorded the theme song to Coffee Talk. And I'm gonna press you. You always support me in all my creative endeavors. I can't wait to hear your next creative music score you're going to write.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've touched most of it since I did that. I always say in my next life, I'm going to score for film and television. It's such a, such a passion of mine. I've done a couple of independent films just for fun. I scored one for the 48-hour film project in Atlanta that actually won an award, but I don't do it nearly enough, and I love it when I do it. But that's one of those things, and I know you can relate to this, but it is so consuming.
Yeah.
You know, years ago when I did more of it, I'd find myself, I'd be up till 3 and 4 in the morning working on these ideas and just trying to get things right. And that's just not not a not practical. Can't do that every day. And so finding a way to kind of fit that into everything else that's going on in life has always been a challenge.
Yeah.
But I still have that kind of that. I've got, I know a couple of different people that are in independent films. I don't have any, grand delusions about doing it on a big scale, but just, independent films that have no money. It's like, hey, I'll do this for free if you'll let me do it, if you'll let me be a part of this.
Yeah.
And I'd still love to do more of that because it's something I really, really enjoy, but it's hard to make that time.
It is
And
hard to make the time. Yeah. And
uh,
I think you can do it. I mean, goodness knows when we started Coffee Talk, I had no idea where this was going to go. It didn't make any sense to me. I just knew it was something that I had to do. And, I thought, it might just be Starling listening every week. It's turned into something, and I support you in what you want to do. You're an incredible talent. There isn't anything you can't do when it comes to playing an instrument or creating something amazing. But I think you have to do it. You have to make that first step, even if it's, that the first, I guess it's not the first step. I'm not a music person. It would be like the first bar, right? Isn't that what it's called? It's
it's
just
funny
right.
because did you grow up thinking that you were creative?
I did.
So
Yep.
I didn't. It took me a long time to discover that I was, and it
You're
was kind of an
so
interesting
creative.
journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I am creative. Now I'm not like, with certain things. Like I can't draw or paint to save my life. I'm terrible with that stuff. But there's lots of ways that people can be creative, and music is certainly one of them for me. But it took me, I think, a lot of people are probably more creative than they want to give themselves credit for. And that was something that took me a long time to really kind of come to terms with. Like, and I think some of it is just it's confidence, it's insecurity. It's like, oh, nobody's gonna like anything I have to do or say or
Yeah.
build or whatever,
Yeah.
and kind of getting past that. But it took me a long, long time to be comfortable saying to myself that yes, I'm creative and I can do something cool and unique here. That was a long journey for me.
Well, we have a couple of recordings of pieces that you've written, and I love them. Every time you put them on, I'm like, oh, it's a Quentin Tarantino film that we're listening to right now. It's so good. You have so much talent. I would love to see you do more with it. I'm supporting you. I'm supporting you,
Well,
sweetheart.
well, thank you. Our next house, I'm going to need a recording studio
You are going to need a recording studio, and I'm going to need a podcast studio. They could probably be one and the same.
and a wood
Right? We
shop.
just need the foam walls.
There you go.
Yeah.
I have one more question for you. What do you want year two to be? What do you want year two to look like? What can Coffee Talk do that it hasn't done, or where is it heading that we haven't yet seen or heard that you want to get out of Coffee Talk in year two?
I want to write a book. I don't even know if you know that.
Yeah, I did. You've mentioned that one.
Yeah. So out of every episode, I am always left with a question, and I'm always challenged by something. Not in a bad way. Challenge is a good word. I'm challenged to change the way that I think about something, or my perspective changes, or I make micro improvements in showing up better and different for people. And in that are journal prompts, essentially, that I write every single week. And I've kept up with them. as soon as I have 52. So there are not 52 episodes of Coffee Talk, even though we are at a year, because as I mentioned, I took some weeks off. But once I'm at 52, I would really love to write a Coffee Talk book, a journal book, where it has the prompt and then I've done this every week. So it's not like I have to write this. I've already written it. But part of my workflow every week is to come up with the journal prompt, and then I answer it from my perspective and the things that I've seen and the things that I've learned, and specifically tie it to that guest. And I would love to publish that once I'm at 52. So that would be one journal prompt a week. I would love to publish that. I think I'm just hitting my stride in the way that I interview. I think the last couple of interviews I've had from where I was sitting had been a couple of my best. It is much easier to interview someone that I know, obviously, because I know the backstories and I know the questions to ask. I'm getting better at interviewing someone that I've just met. I think just more learning to be a better interview better. I have media sponsorship opportunities now for some of the conferences and the groups that are springing up. I'm a media sponsor for TechFluent, allowing the graduates from TechFluent a place to retell their story. So I have other opportunities that are coming up. Again, I'm not in a place with Coffee Talk that I want to put expectations on it, but I really would love to write my book and publish my book. So maybe that will happen this year. We'll see. That was a good question. You Coffee Talked me. Well, sweetheart, you have had a front row seat to all of this over the last year. A whole lot of conversations, a lot of stories, a lot of editing, a lot of weekends that I've spent on this. And you've stood behind me through every single bit of it. And again, thank you. You wrote the music. You helped me execute the vision that I had. You've listened to all of my ideas. You've talked me through some of the hard parts. You've given me really great constructive criticism at times. You've offered me ideas and things that I could do to help me be consistent. You were the one that told me maybe I should do these 10-minute episodes of just me, just so that I can stay consistent. You've celebrated all of my wins with me. And you've never, ever made me feel like any of my crazy ideas are too crazy to try. So, sweetheart, thank you. Thank you for believing in me. And to everyone that has listened or watched, shared an episode, sent me a message, asked me if they can be on Coffee Talk. Yes, come be on Coffee Talk. If you've told me your story and you've trusted me with that, thank you so much for an incredible first year of Coffee Talk. Cheers to year 2. I cannot wait to see where we're going to go together. And again, Starling, thank you. Thank you for all of the support and the encouragement. And, we're only just getting started, sweetheart. No telling where we're going to go.
I know. I'm excited to see where you take it. And thank you. I would say that based on today's episode, maybe I'll offer some constructive criticism on your guest selection. But outside of that, I think you're coming up aces. So.
Love it. You're always making me laugh. Nobody else I'd rather be on the episode with me for the 1 year. You were there with me before there was a Coffee Talk. So
thanks for letting me be a part of it.
All right. Well, until next time, keep pouring into the conversations that matter and the people that matter. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us today on Coffee Talk. A special thanks to my guests for sharing their story and to you, the listener, for being a part of this conversation. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a Monday morning chat. Until next time, I'm Kate Coffey Bacon, and this has been Coffee Talk.